So you look at it here. They give up the 2 sacks, and they're missing 2 starting offensive linemen here, and you've already got question marks at the right tackle position. I thought they held up well there as well. So you got Mac doing what he did, which is 54 pass attempts, which I don't know that we saw this in the game plan here in terms of what they wanted to do. I don't know if they set out this way thinking this is what they wanted to do, but this is how the game evolved. And as you said, there wasn't much room to run. Stevenson couldn't get anything going. They tried to work Zeke in a little bit. It just there really wasn't much there at all. So Mac throws the ball 54 times, goes over 300 yards, throws 3 touchdown passes. Made some really, really good throws after a really slow start. And again, you're going to have to look at it, and I'm sure you'll dig deep into it. But your overall snapshot performance on how Mac played, because he left some out there too.
Yeah, like I think he mentioned that there were plays where he didn't probably read it right, or his eyes weren't in the right place.
Right.
I think I believe it was a 4th down. It was one late down in the game where he looked to his left to the bunch, and it looked like there was a lot of just contact. Hunter Henry and Juju ran into each other. I think that was his first look, and then he got pressure and kind of, I don't want to say panicked, but it looked like Kendrick Bourne might have been open behind the coverage to his right, and he didn't see it. Obviously, the high throw, he admitted the pick 6 was a high throw. Obviously, that's a worst case scenario. Like, people get away with bad throws. You just pray it doesn't end up in the ball so long it gets intercepted. But at the same time, I thought he made more than enough throws to make up for the mistakes as well. And he was the reason they stayed in that game. Like like you said, the film is going to tell the true story, but I wouldn't say Mac Jones was a reason that they weren't in that game. He was every reason that they were. I thought that just little bits and pieces around him didn't come through when they needed to. Like I know Demario Douglas had some great catches. He was 4 for 40, but there were also a few times where he and Mac didn't seem to be on the same page. So those were like lost plays. Kayshon Boutte, looked like 1 or 2 miscommunications to him, and then he couldn't make it on the sideline. Kendrick Bourne not coming up. I think there was one where he was short, and obviously the 3rd and 12. So, guys definitely could have done more for him in critical situations, but I'm sure that he wasn't perfect either, and I'm sure he's right that there were times where his eyes maybe didn't put him in the best position to succeed on certain plays.
Yeah, but again, you have to look at it relative to last year and what you saw from Mac.
Oh yeah, totally different person. Totally different person.
Like, and so that's kind of what. Is it perfect? No. Could it get better? Yes. But again, we're talking a guy who at times last year, people wanted a practice squad player, a below replacement level player to replace him.
I wasn't one of those people. It's
fine. Close. They were so fed up with it, right or wrong.
New FanDuel customers can bet $5 and get $200 in bonus bets, guaranteed. Plus, all customers who bet $5 will get $100 off NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV.
He clearly took a step back. Is this closer to year one? Is this, is this even slightly better than what you remember?
I was going to say this is past year one because he looked great in the pocket, and I think the combination of consistent pressure and the fact that his offense wasn't functional and didn't give him answers like Bill O'Brien's offense does, those are the reasons that Matt crumbled under pressure. Because in college, he was fine throwing under heat. Like, he didn't have a big weakness outside of his physical limitations. It was like, he's smart, he's a point guard, he's going to get the ball, he's going to find the matchups, blah, blah, blah. Last year didn't put him in position to do any of those things. Now, even when the pressure does kind of get home and he feels it, you can see he's more confident he looked nimble in the pocket. He used his legs several times to extend plays. We saw flashes of that last season, but again, he was forcing things. So the bad really took over, even though there was a ton of good with him scrambling. Like, by next gen stats, he was the most elusive quarterback. Like, obviously, it's not exactly, he's not the most elusive quarterback in the league, but relative to the number of times he was pressured and got out of it, he was statistically the most elusive. So there's something to that.
That's like the Sam Hauser led the league in defensive rating sort of stat.
But he was running a lot last season, and I think there was more mobility that he showed than he got credit for because he forced things. So
he did.
And I will say that, you want to see Mac under pressure. How's he doing when it's on schedule? Is he finding the right guys? He's finding the right guys all these plays. Like, him and O'Brien are really in sync. And again, It's the giving him answers to the test that I thought was going to make Mac the best version of himself, because O'Brien will not put you in position where you're basically just wasting a down. And I think we're seeing Mac confident, and I thought he, for the most part, looked really good.
He looked like a professional quarterback. He looked confident. He didn't look shook. And again, how much of it, again, we're going to say this 100 times because, I don't want to dog Matty P because, you know, the iteration of Matty Patricia that we saw last year doesn't do justice to the Matt Patricia that once served this franchise well. So people do feel bad to kind of heap it all on him. But the reality is there was no trust and no confidence last year. And that obviously had to affect Mac. The question was, how big an effect would the Bill O'Brien effect have on this? Like, yes, I mean, all preseason long, all training camp long, almost every single soundbite was along those lines, right? Taylor was, it's professional, it's tight. It's like, we know what, it's like, it's obvious he knows what he's doing. Almost everything they said about Bill O'Brien was a referendum on the previous regime and the way that the offense was run last year, which was a total freaking clown show. So yes, we knew it was going to be better. The question is, how much better, and is it good enough to overcome some personnel deficiencies, which would be an O-line that's still kind of playing its way into shape and into proper health, and a less than dynamic receiving core, which again, they got good performances out of Kendrick Bourne. Hunter Henry is definitely his new binky now that Jacoby Myers is gone. And, I think that's going to be a security blanket for Mac and someone who's going to make plays for him. But the fact that you're relying on Boutte, and again, Parker is out, to have to make a couple of plays late in the game, that's not necessarily great. They're still going to have to battle some personnel issues, which will, I think, limit what they're able to do. But Mac looked like he knew what he was doing out there. And I think that that's what people wanted to see was, okay, he looks like an NFL quarterback. It's not the guy that was kind of like, flat out he was missing throws last year. He just looked bad all around. It wasn't just the offense. I think it was, a lot of it was on him too.
I agree. I feel like I'm beating a dead horse at this point, but yeah, I think he's significantly better. He looked like the kind of quarterback that you want to see, in that he was accurate. He was making largely the right decisions. He was doing well under pressure, all those things. I think that who we see right now, especially for Mac, is not who he's going to be by midseason, because one, O'Brien's offense is going to continue to grow. I guarantee you there's things you saw in this game plan that O'Brien is going to have a version of in the next game, where he knows the Dolphins defensive coordinator Vic Fangio is going to see it and have something off of it. And that's going to help Mac, because Mac is going to have this comfort in the system. They mesh. Like I'm telling you, this is a great start for Mac for the most part in this game. And I really think that he's going to take like quantum leaps in terms of his intelligence and on-field performance, thanks to O'Brien.